Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trevette.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. Fish fry. Biosphere. Ike speaks. Da plane, da plane. Their first #1 pop hit. And alliteration allotment. A lot of clues, a lot of categories. Player one, make a selection. Fry, meaning young, is often applied to this fish, like the sockeye that returns to spawn where it hatched. Let's hear it, player one. Yes. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Males guard the fry of the smallmouth type of this, a sport fishing favorite. It's player one. That's correct. Please pick again, player one. The tiger type of this fish can be 1.5 feet long at birth, with dark spots and stripes that fade as it ages. It's player one. Yep. You again, player one. Baby catfish are called sack fry and subsist for 5 days on this, even after they hatch from the egg. It's player one. No, sorry. Here's what we wanted. Yolk. We return to you, player one. Geographic name for the spotted green type of pike, whose young eat insects before graduating to other fish. We're talking about northern pike. Select again. In basketball, this ball handling infraction will cost you possession. It's player one. Right.
Yeah! Woo!
You again, player one. A condition of low priority. In a cooking phrase, it usually follows on the... Player one? That's right. Way to go. Player one. Pick again. You'll get a charge over this critter, an Amazon river dweller that can pack a 650-volt wallop. Okay, player one. Right. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Here's Jimmy to start us off.
Water vapor and ozone are two of these gases, collectively known as GHGs, which keep heat from escaping the atmosphere.
Yes, player one? That's correct. Player one, back to you. Answer, it's the Daily Double. And you're in the lead now. How much? The clue, RR, as a description in mail delivery. No. The correct response is rural route. Player one, choose again. Samuel Eliot Morison won a Pulitzer for Admiral of the Ocean Sea, about this man who died in 1506. It's player one. Correct. Select again. As he is the subject of 1918 and 1939 Pulitzer Prize winners, perhaps the books should be read with bifocals. Here's the correct response. Benjamin Franklin. Select again. Mockingbird is a portrait of this Southern writer. Yes, player one? That's correct. Player 1. Pick again. Queen of Fashion is subtitled, What She Wore to the Revolution. It's Player 1. Yes. You get to pick again, Player 1. In a bit of table turning, Poison Pen is an unauthorized bio of this woman who wrote a bio of Nancy Reagan. Here's the correct response. Kitty Kelly. We return to you, Player 1. Eisenhower said, No treaty or international agreement can contravene this document. Okay, Player 1. Yes. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Ike telegrammed that the mission of his Allied force was fulfilled at 0241 hours local time in this month, 1945. Here's the correct response. May. Player 1, back to you. Of this man's contributions to major White House decisions, Ike said, If you give me a week, I might think of one. Here's what we were looking for. Richard Nixon. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. In 1957, Ike used the full power of the United States to enforce integration at Central High in this city. Here's the correct response. Little Rock. We return to you, Player 1. Eisenhower said appointing him to the Supreme Court was the biggest damn fool mistake I ever made. We're talking about Earl Warren. Player 1, you pick again, please. Every Breath You Take, 1983. The correct response is The Police. Player 1, you pick again, please. Sunshine on My Shoulders, 1974. We're talking about John Denver. Please pick again, Player 1. Sunshine Superman, 1966. Here's what we wanted. Donovan. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Ms. Jackson, 2001. We're talking about Outcast. Select again. Owner of a Lonely Heart, 1984. Here's what we wanted. Yes. Player 1, back to you. The first commercial plane flights out of the United States were in 1920 between Key West and this nearby country. It's Player 1. You are correct. You again, Player 1. In 2004, this airline introduced non-stop flights between Newark and Changi Airport. Here's the correct response. Singapore Airlines. You again, Player 1. Flying at the then incredible speed of 575 miles per hour, the Boeing 707 began commercial flight service in this decade. Here's what we were looking for. The 1950s. You again, Player 1. This U.S. company created the venerable DC-10 jetliner. Let's hear it, Player 1. Sorry, that's wrong. Here's what we wanted. McDonnell Douglas. Let's have a look at the $1,000 clue. The first commercial passenger transatlantic service was by Pan Am in 1939 between New York City and this French port. Here's what we wanted. Marseille. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Clues are worth $400 to $2,000 in these categories. Fictional characters. Countries by newspaper. Quotable movies. You picked a fine time. The quasi-war with France. And at the dentist's office. Let's get back into this now. You have control of the board. Deion Sanders knows this term for the evening hours when the largest audience is available for TV. Player one? Good. We return to you, player one. Estimated at around 30 years, it's accepted as the average period between birth of parents and their offspring. Okay, player one. Right. Player one, back to you. The time just before sunset or after sunrise on a movie set, or a former LA Lakers late-night talk show. Yes, player one? No. The correct response is magic hour. Player one, choose again. We had pleasant sensations learning about the era of this, which covered President Monroe's 2 terms. Player one? Right you are. Player one, you pick again, please. This longest division of geologic time doesn't have a fixed period. In astronomy, it's 1 billion years. It's player one. No, sorry. Here's the response we were looking for. An eon. You again, player one. Drill speed is measured in these. Dr. Morrison's in 1871 did about 600. Today's turbine-powered ones, about 300,000. Player one? Good for you. Player one, choose again. The American Dental Association says this is perfectly safe as the basis for amalgam fillings. It combines with other materials to make it stable. Here's the response we were looking for. Mercury. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Cavities form when bacteria break down sugars, forming this substance that dissolves enamel. Player one? Right. You get to pick again, player one. Modern lead aprons worn during X-raying have a collar to protect this gland from the radiation. Here's the correct response. The thyroid. Player one, pick again. From the Latin for to close, it's the alignment and spacing of your upper and lower teeth when you bite. Let's hear it, player one. Sorry. Here's what we were looking for. The occlusion. Please pick again, player one. In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Lucy gets into an old wardrobe and discovers this magical land. The correct response is Narnia. We return to you, player one. Snip, Snap, and Snurr, who star in a series of books, are brothers from this Scandinavian country. Here's the response we were looking for. Sweden. Player one, choose again. In the Grimm tale, The 12 Dancing Princesses, 12 sisters dance so much that they wear out these every night. Okay, player one. Correct. Player one, you pick again, please. This orphan befriends a goatherd named Peter when she's sent to live with her grandfather in the Swiss Alps. We're talking about Heidi. Player one, you pick again, please. She's the title heroine of Green Gables in a classic 1908 book. Here's the correct response. Anne. You get to pick again, player one. My father assured him that either his signature or his brains would be on the contract. The correct response is The Godfather. Player one, back to you for our next selection. There was a Stonehenge monument on the stage that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf. Here's the correct response. Spinal Tap. Select again. Answer? One of the daily doubles. You are in first place. You need to select your wager. Answer this. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries. We're talking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Player one, back to you. You can't handle the truth. Here's the correct response. A Few Good Men. Player one, back to you. Spartans, enjoy your breakfast, for tonight we dine in hell. The correct response is 300. Player one, you pick again, please. The Sydney Morning Herald, the Queensland Independent. Yes, player one? Good. You again, player one. The Shizuoka Shimbun, the Nikan Ubejiho. Let's hear it, player one. That's right, way to go. Player one, pick again. Avanti, Il Messaggero. Let's hear it, player one. Right.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, choose again. Haaretz, Ma'ariv. We're talking about Israel. We return to you, player one. Answer, the second daily double, and you have the lead. Player one, please select your wager. Here is your clue. Jyllands-Posten, Politiken. Good. You again, player one. On June 21st, 1798, this president told Congress he was going to break off relations with France. Yes, player one? Nope. Sorry. Here's what we were looking for. John Adams. Player one. Pick again. Preparations for war included adding ships like the USS Constitution, nicknamed this in the War of 1812. Player one? Good. Player one, back to you for our next selection. USS Constellation beat both La Vengeance and L'Insurgente in this sea, where the U.S. enjoyed a home field edge. Here's what we wanted. The Caribbean. Select again. The rally cry of the Americans during the fight was millions for this, but not 1 cent for tribute. Here's what we wanted. Defense. And now the $2,000 clue. In October of 1797, the United States met with agents of France known by these 3 code letters. We're talking about X, Y, and Z. Congratulations to you. You'll be continuing on to Final Jeopardy when we come back. Final Jeopardy still to come, and here's the category. 19th century inventions. You need to select your wager. And the clue reads, one description of it said, its spokes look like cobwebs. They're after the fashion of those on the newest bicycles. Let's see your response. And this correct response will add how much to your score? This makes you our new champion, Player One, so congratulations. Good game. Thank you so much for playing.
This is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trevet.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows: state capitals, presidential campaigns, you're an animal, showbiz stuff, the short form, and biblical abominations. Player one, you're in command of the board as we continue right now. The old barracks in this New Jersey capital housed Continental Army troops during the Revolution. Player one?
Yeah!
Right. We return to you, Player one. The site for this capital was chosen because of its location between Pensacola and St. Augustine. Player one? Good for you.
Yeah! Woo!
You get to pick again, Player one. At an elevation of about 7,000 feet, this city in New Mexico's Sangre de Cristo Mountains is the highest state capital. Let's hear it, Player one. That is correct. Player one, choose again. When Kansas became a state in 1861, this city became capital. It's Player one.
Yeah!
Right you are. You again, Player one. Two state capitals with city in their names lie west of the Rocky Mountains: Salt Lake City and this one. Okay, Player one. That's it. Player one. Pick again. A campaign slogan in 1964 said, "All the way with these three letters." Yes, Player one? That's it. Player one, back to you for our next selection. I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people, he said in accepting his 1932 nomination. Let's hear it, Player one. Good. Select again. The 1976 ticket of Jimmy Carter and this running mate was dubbed Fritz and Grits. Yes, Player one? Good. Player 1. Pick again. In 1916, he campaigned under the slogan, "He kept us out of war." Okay, Player 1. You are correct.
Woo!
Player 1, back to you. The Whigs used a log cabin as a symbol in his 1840 campaign. Player 1? No, sorry. Here's the correct response. William Henry Harrison. Player 1, you pick again, please. Get along, little this. The word for a motherless calf. Okay, Player 1.
Yeah!
You got it. Player 1, you pick again, please. Let's go over to Jimmy.
The giant panda seen here isn't playing the flute. He's snacking on this, his favorite food.
It's Player 1. Right. We return to you, Player 1. Answer. It's the Daily Double. And you have the lead. What'll it be? Answer this. Scientists are scrambling to find out the cause of colony collapse disorder, which is occurring with this insect. Good. Player 1. Pick again. A condor is a type of this bird. It's related to the turkey type and also enjoys eating carrion. Let's hear it, Player 1.
Yeah!
Good for you. Player 1, back to you. The plains variety of this animal has gray markings that are known as shadow stripes. Player 1. That's right. Way to go. You get to pick again, Player 1. Dialogue from this show. Women don't leave Denny Crane. And for a secretary? It was the Secretary of Defense. Okay, Player 1. Good for you. Player 1. Pick again. I'm glad I got the partying out of my system because now I can focus on my career, said this simple lifer. Player 1. Correct.
Yeah! Woo!
You get to pick again, Player 1. This comedian's rant to Conan O'Brien about ungrateful technology users has received over 5 million hits on YouTube. Let's hear it, Player 1. Nope. Sorry. Here's the response we were looking for. Louis C.K. Player 1, back to you. Blind hermit Gene Hackman entertains man of few words Peter Boyle in this 1974 comedy. It's Player 1. Good. Player 1, you pick again, please. I've eaten things that didn't complain this much, says Diego the saber-toothed tiger in this 2002 animated film. Let's hear it, Player 1. You are correct. We return to you, Player 1. Frag, meaning to kill a fellow soldier, started as a short form of this term for a type of grenade. Yes, Player 1? Good.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 1, back to you for our next selection. If your internist gives you a script, it's short for this. Okay, Player 1.
Yeah!
We return to you, Player 1. Buck, as in dollar, is short for this item once used in trade and barter? Let's hear it, player one. Yes. We return to you, player one. A cab you drink is short for this word. It's player one. That's right. Way to go. You again, player one. A cab you ride in is short for this word. Player one.
Yeah!
Player one. Pick again. Leviticus chapter 11 says, most insects that creep or fly are an abomination, but this 8th plague is kosher. Okay, player one. Correct. Player one, back to you. Leviticus chapter 11 verse 13 declares that this bird of prey, later a symbol of Roman legions, is an abomination. It's player one. Correct. Player one, choose again. Potpourri is not mentioned, but this burning perfume is an abomination according to Isaiah chapter 1 verse 13. Yes, player one? Hey, you're right. Please pick again, player one. Leviticus chapter 11 verse 10 says, all that have not fins and these in the seas shall be an abomination. It's player one. Good. And now the $1,000 clue. In Genesis chapter 46, verse 34, every shepherd is an abomination unto this kingdom that was known as Kemet. It's player one. Good. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Let's see what happens in Double Jeopardy with these categories awaiting the players. The gall of that guy. What can Brown do for you? Yo, Holmes. Word origins. Giving you the bird. And pop on a CD. Let's get back into this now. You have control of the board. De Gaulle's June 18, 1940 broadcast in this city asking for France's leadership led to a death sentence in a French court. Yes, player one? No, sorry. We're talking about London. Player one. Pick again. De Gaulle wanted a small mobile army versus static theories like this defensive line named for a minister of war. Player one? Right you are. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Charles de Gaulle fought in this February to July 1916 battle in which the Germans did not pass. Okay, player one. You got it.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, back to you. In 1965, de Gaulle won the presidency by defeating this socialist, later France's leader from 1981 to 1995. Player one? You are correct. Player one, you pick again, please. In 1925, de Gaulle was promoted to the staff of the Supreme War Council by this marshal. Okay, player one.
Yeah!
You are correct. Player one, back to you. He was Britain's Prime Minister from 2007 to 2010. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Right you are. Player one, back to you for our next selection. On December 2nd, 1859, this militant abolitionist was hanged for treason. Okay, player one. Right. You again, player one. With his 12,313th rushing yard, he passed Jim Brown on the all-time NFL rushing list in 1984. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Player one, pick again. The GK in the name of this Father Brown creator stood for Gilbert Keith. Let's hear it, player one. Right. You again, player one. Harold Brown was this president's Secretary of Defense. It's player one. Is correct. Player one, choose again. This dogged Sherlock Holmes novel was published in 1902. Yes, player one? That's correct. You get to pick again, player one. The Napoleon of crime, he attempts to kill Holmes at Reichenbach Falls. Let's hear it, player one. That's it.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, choose again. It's the great detective's London address. It's player one. That's it. Player one, choose again. In an 1891 story, Holmes solves a mystery concerning a league of men with hair of this color. Yes, player one? Good. Player one, pick again. Holmes is outwitted by a woman in a scandal in this Central European kingdom. Let's hear it, player one. That's right. Way to go. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The Keebler elves could probably tell you that the name of this snack comes from a Dutch word for small cake. Let's hear it, player one. That's right. Way to go. Select again. Maple or otherwise, this thick, sweet stuff is from the Arabic for to drink. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
Yep. Player one, choose again. First used in a novel about 90 years ago, it refers to a bright person, not someone who resembles Humpty Dumpty. It's player one. That is correct. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. The name of this type of aircraft is from two Greek words meaning spiral wing. Player 1? Good. Player 1, back to you. The term funny bone is actually a pun on the name of this upper arm bone. Let's hear it, Player 1. Yeah, good. You get to pick again, Player 1. Also known as a red bird and protected by law, this bird may have up to 4 broods from April to August each year. Yes, Player 1? No, sorry. Here's the correct response. Cardinal. You again, Player 1. The ruby-throated one of these can migrate 500 miles while burning off only slightly more than 1 gram of fat. Yes, Player 1? You are correct. Select again. Pochards, perching, stiff-tailed, and dabbling are types of these birds. Here's what we were looking for. Ducks. Please pick again, Player 1. There are about 60 species of this wading bird. Asia has a purple one, and America a great blue one. It's Player 1. Yep.
Yeah! Woo!
Select again. Answer. The first of the daily doubles. You are in first place. Decide on your wager, Player 1. Answer. The gray type of this bird was introduced to North America in 1889. Come on, get happy. That is correct. We return to you, Player 1. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Peachtree Road. It's Player 1.
Yeah!
Is correct. Player 1, back to you. Dirty Mind, Controversy, The Love Symbol Album. Okay, Player 1. That's correct.
Yeah! Woo!
You get to pick again, Player 1. Rhythm Nation 1814, The Velvet Rope. Player 1.
Yeah!
That's it. Player 1. Pick again. Answer. The other daily double. You are in first place. How much are you going to wager, Player 1? All right, here's your clue. Thankful. Breakaway. That's correct. And now the $2,000 clue. The Writings on the Wall. Survivor. Okay, Player 1. Good for you. I'll see you for Final Jeopardy in just a moment. This is the Final Jeopardy category for today. Authors. You need to select your wager. And now the final clue. Chapters in a 1914 novel by this author include Jungle Battles, His Own Kind, and The Call of the Primitive. What did you put as your response? And this correct response will add how much to your score? Player one, congratulations to you. So long.